KJ Wright from the Seattle Seahawks, and you are watching NorbCam.
This is Walter Jones, Pro Football Hall of Famer, top 100.
Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks.
DK Metcalf from
Nate Burleson. You're watching NorbCam.
NorbCam. You're watching NorbCam.
What's going on, everybody? This is NorbCam coming at you with another Bleacher Report live stream. Today, talking about what the 53-man roster might look like in September. We've had a lot of draft picks, free agency moves, a lot of position groups that are pretty crowded right now. It's going to be interesting to see once the time we get through training camp how the starting lineup might look like. But we're going to kind of jump ahead a little bit and just see what that might look like given what we know at this point. So we're going to do that right now. Just want to jump in here and remind you guys, if you like what you see here, I would love it if you would follow me here on Bleacher Report, as well as on my socials right down below. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X, and on Facebook at NorbCam. All right, so before we get into the roster discussion here, breaking it down position by position, I just wanted to mention, it was kind of interesting, got into a little bit of hot water on my last Bleacher Report live stream talking about wild speculative trades that could be, the Seahawks could be exploring. And even the suggestion of DK Metcalf in a comparison, I was really just making a comparison between DK Metcalf and Brandon Ayuk. And people jumped on me saying that, Norb, how can you be crazy enough to, why would you do that? Why would you suggest the thing that we trade DK and in exchange for Brandon Ayuk, which I really said on the stream I wasn't endorsing that, but rather just making a comparison since the 49ers and Brandon Ayuk seem to be pretty far apart right now in terms of contract. So it was just, something to explore, but it was amazing how much it got taken out of context and simply stating that Norb wants to trade DK for Brandon Ayuk. It's very interesting how things get twisted and words get taken out of context, but DK is not going anywhere. At least I hope not. I do want him. I think he's an important part of this offense, and so I don't see any shocking moves happening in all reality. Will be interesting to see, though, if the 49ers and Brandon Ayuk can get things worked out there. It would not be sad to see him not be in a 49ers uniform, because he has definitely been a thorn on our side, for the past several seasons. All right, let's jump into this, shall we? Let's break it down. We're going to go into this position group by position group, starting with the offense and then the defense and finishing with special teams to see what does this team potentially look like. Who would be the starters to open the season in September? And feel free to chat, as we got one here from TJM620. What's good? Norby says, don't worry about the reporters that I think he wants to say don't know anything. It was interesting. I was just perusing. I think my Microsoft news feed splashed up, and it says trade suggested or exploring a trade between DK Metcalf and Brandon Ayuk. I was like, oh, this is interesting. I clicked on it. It says Bleacher Report's Norb Kawili suggests a possible trade. I was like, wait, what? Where'd this come from? And what's this doing here on the Microsoft news feed? Anyway, it's fascinating stuff. All right, let's jump into here. I'm excited to get into this breakdown. So we'll start on the offensive side of the ball, and here we go. Let's do it. So starting, and this is kind of an easy one, or at least some people might disagree whether this is an easy one, but I think it's pretty clear right now, at least on the surface. Right now in the quarterback position, we've got basically two of them. We've got, of course, your default starter, Geno Smith. And we have Sam Howell, who we acquired from the Commanders as our quarterback two. Javon Cordero is the third quarterback currently, but I think in the end they will stick with two quarterbacks on the roster. Now it's interesting because a lot of people have debated saying, I don't know, Geno gets so much lack of respect. I don't know what the guy has to do. I guess he has to win a Super Bowl, and then maybe people will change his mind. But until he actually wins, a playoff game, maybe that's the thing, is people are winning. For a while there, I was kind of, even early when Geno first took the starting role after Russell Lee left, I said, I don't believe Geno's a franchise quarterback until he can prove to me that he can win a game put the team on his shoulders and win a game, come from behind when they have to get it done. And he did do that a couple times, several times. But I think a lot of people just don't believe it until they feel like he can win that big game. Maybe not the Super Bowl, but at least get us further in the playoffs. And that's, I guess, one thing he's still got to prove to the doubters out there. Some people will never believe it. They say, we aren't going anywhere. I see it so many times. No, we can't go anywhere until Geno Smith. Or we're not going anywhere with Geno Smith, the quarterback, period. Until he proves otherwise. Juice X Monkey says, Sam showed what he could do last year, but I like starting Geno, the vet, at least for the first few games, provides more stability across the offense as a whole. Completely agree with you. I think Sam definitely has that potential. I mean, he did start the game, and he had an impressive number of yards and touchdowns, just threw a hell of a lot of picks, too. But could be a legit quarterback competition. I mean, right now, Coach McDonald singing all kinds of praises for Geno right now, and so it's hard to think that he'd be anything but the starter. But should there be injury? Should he struggle? It's potential that, Howell could get his shot, and maybe Sam Howell could be looked at as maybe the successor, unless they have a plan to draft a quarterback in the next couple of years. We shall see. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out of the gate firing and looking good. Hopefully Geno has, with a revamped offensive line, carrying over the same weapons, and a brand new offensive coordinator. Maybe he'll look like a whole different guy. All right, let's go to, speaking of those weapons, let's go to the running back room. Not much change there either. Really, we're talking about the same three guys. Well, really, we've only been talking about two guys here. Kenneth Walker the third, K9, the default number one running back, Zach Charbonnet, number two. And then this guy, Kenny McIntosh. I don't know how many times all year long I kept saying, when are we going to see Kenny McIntosh take the field out of Georgia? Like, he looked pretty good, from his time there, and seems like a pretty good multifaceted weapon, but never, I think maybe was on the field one time, but really never got a chance to show what he could do. So I don't know what was going on there, but I'm hoping that he gets a shot here. I hope they don't desperately need to put him on the field, because I'd really like to keep K9 and Charbonnet healthy together for the greater part of the season. That's what I would love to see. That just seems to be a struggle having that happen. So hopefully the two of them can stay on there. Graham5 wants to know, how long is this live show? It's a 30-minute show, so I got to get through this roster between 9 and 9:30-ish. So yeah, about 30 minutes. So keep the comments coming. Connor7, 2022 Geno and 2023 Geno are also two very different levels of performance. Well, combination of things there. I think team figuring out, every quarterback gets figured out, and then you have to kind of come up with a counter plan to what their plan is to stop you. But also, the defense was horrible, and that didn't help out what felt like just the overall campaign. But Geno also, weapons will be different too this year, so we'll see how much that can go. And the offensive line makes a big difference as well. He's under a lot of pressure. All right, so those names below: George Holandi, Kobe Lewis, Tamarick Williams on the roster right now. Probably practice squad material there. They might keep one for depth, and there's always that possibility that they bring Rashad Penny, who's been discussed as maybe another depth guy. I'd be kind of surprised. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Jamal Adams thing. Like, yeah, we tried to make it work, but he just could not stay on the field. All right, let's move to the wide receiver weapons now here. A lot of weapons here, but more or less more of the same of what we are used to. Of course, we got DK Metcalf, 1, Tyler Lockett, 2, Jackson Smith-Njigba in the slot. Then you got the not utilized enough, in my opinion, Jake Bobo. I hope he gets a few more touches, because that guy just seems to do something special every time he touches the ball, whether it's run after the catch, going up for a 50-50 ball. The dude can play, so they need to get more plays to him. D. Eskridge, shocked when they re-signed and extended him this past year, but he might be a weapon for kick returns, particularly with the new kickoff rules. Might make things more interesting as... he's been, as we all know, a little injury prone, but the new kickoff rules should prevent that from being as much of an issue, since there's a lot less hard contact with the way the new kickoff rules are set up. And Drake Young, depth guy, special teams guy, might have to be utilized in case we have injuries to these other 5 up here. Then these other names down below, probably names you're not going to hear much about. unless something happens, but mostly practice squad material as well. Let's see. Let's go to C. Graham 5. Better pick it up then, because QB are easy, lots of positions to go to. All right, I'll pick up the pace. Also, Chenault will make roster 2, and they could start with 7. True. That's true. They did take Chenault. They got him in the offseason. So it's possible he could split time, maybe edge Derek Young in there. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's go to the tight end group. Big changes there at tight end. Noah Fant, the clear number 1, going to be our pass catching threat. They got Farrell Brown from New England, more of a blocking tight end. But then we got A.J. Barner from Michigan in the draft. Pretty good blocker. He can catch the football as well. But one I'm really excited about is Jack Westover, who was undrafted, picked up by the Washington Huskies. Since I watched so much of the Huskies during their championship run this past year, Westover's he can play too. So I wouldn't be surprised if he edges and finds his way in to the starting lineup if he can really ball out during training camp and preseason. All right, so that's the tight end group. Let's go to the offensive line that we talked about, so important here. So a lot of depth they picked up definitely during the offseason and in the draft. Now, this is how I see things shaking up. It may not start this way, but I feel like that when things are all said and done, I feel like this would be the ideal lineup for the future. We have, of course, our bookends on each side, Charles Cross, Abraham Lucas. Now, Lucas, I'm a little bit concerned about. He's had this knee issue that in some mentions during press conferences saying this is a chronic problem. He had some surgery done in the offseason. So when his return will be, how strong and ready will he be at the start of the year in training camp, that's still to be determined. So a little concerned about that, but you hope that he will still continue to be our right tackle of the future. Big change at guard, which was one of our biggest deficiencies with 2 of our starters leaving last year. But Christian Haynes, we got in the draft. He may not get the starting position outright. I think he's going to have to battle for it against Laken Tomlinson and Tremaine Ankrum Jr., who they picked up in free agency. But I think Christian Haynes, again, arguably the best offensive guard in this draft. I would like to see him rise to the top and eventually make his way to the starting lineup, either at left or right guard. Probably left if the other guard, Anthony Bradford, who is slowly coming into his own, still got to kind of prove that he is the man there to stay in that position. Had some pretty good experience last year, but not overwhelming in his performance. So he's got to really step it up in this year. And if he can, that would be a pretty nice, solid young line right there. And then the big question is at center. Olu Oluwatimi only played a handful of plays last year and did really not get to see what he can do. And they picked up a veteran, Nick Harris, at center. I think it could be Nick Harris starting things off. But again, much like Christian Haynes, I'm hoping that Olu will be the guy who eventually can win out that starting position and be the center for the future. I just don't know what we have in Oluwatimi. It's just been I was hoping to see more of him last year. We just didn't really get to see him. So there you go. That is your starting offensive line, in my opinion. Hoping that's what it turns out to be. Let's see. Juice X Monkey, do you think Chenault will play a slot running back role then? I feel like his size out of the backfield could be dangerous for defenders to cover. And this goes back to the offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb from UW. Lots of pre-snap movement. He'll move receivers from one side to the next, put the tight end into the backfield, receivers out of the backfield. I think that could be a very good possibility that they could use Chenault in that sort of hybrid position where he could be coming out of the backfield as well as playing in your traditional receiver spot. So, yeah, I think he would definitely be a weapon that we could utilize there. Alan, Jesse, and I, A.J. Barner, future tight end of Seattle. Could be. Again, I feel like he's that, Farrell Brown's kind of the older side of his career. Barner's got a long future ahead. Can ball out, he could be that blocking tight end, kind of the Disley plus more the way he can go up and get the football. C. Graham, could we keep Westover and go without a fullback since even you skipped over that position? Because we don't. We haven't had really a traditional fullback in a while. So, yeah, you're right. We could keep Westover, get that extra tight end, and maybe him be sort of in that position of a hybrid tight end / running back. That's a good point. I'd like to see that happen. Nick Harris was such a good signing. Yeah, you got to have somebody ready to go in case the rookie or the second-year guy can't pull it over. There you go. Let's move on. Now to the defensive side of the ball. Let's start in the trenches, jump right into the D-line. Okay, here we go. So, of course, our number one pick in the draft, our first pick of the draft, Byron Murphy, going to be eating it up there, the defensive tackle nose position, joined along with Jaron Reed, longtime Seahawk, Cameron Young, and Jonathan Hankins. Hankins we got over the offseason as well. So we really beefed up, put a lot of steak, a lot of heavy meat there in the defensive middle part of the line, which we've needed so badly. Really excited about Byron Murphy. This dude is just, everything I'm hearing from camp reports is this dude has got so much strength. His legs are like logs, just so strong and powerful. Much, again, I can see why the comparisons to Aaron Donald are being made. So excited to see what they're going to do there with that upgraded middle part of the line. Then we got on our defensive ends, of course, Leonard Williams, who we were able to re-sign and extend, thank goodness, because we gave up a lot to get him. And Draymond Jones on the other side, would like to see him step it up a little bit more this year. Then on the other ends, we got Miles Adams and Mike Morris. So those are your anchors there on the defensive line. And then we got a few other names in here. Probably, again, not going to work their way in unless there's some injury. Practice squad type guys down there on the bottom. So let's move to the linebacking crew, another area that was of concern with Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks leaving. So offseason, we picked up Tyrell Dodson from the Bills. Good pickup there. Jerome Baker from the Dolphins. But both these guys are on one-year rentals. So these guys, if they work out great for Seattle, we'll have to figure out how to keep them and extend them. Otherwise, Tyrese Knight, who we picked up in the draft, is our other inside linebacker. If he could show, that he belongs in the field as well, at least maybe that could be one position covered, at least for the future, for the next several years. But we're still going to be thin at inside linebacker, regardless of what happens after this season. So, but let's hope that one of these guys pans out and we can extend them and keep us a Seahawk for a while. Then, of course, on the edge is so important here. Boye Mafe, Uchenna Nwosu. These two guys, I think, are kind of the keys to Seattle's defensive success. There was, last year, I talked so much about how there was life with Nwosu and life without him. And Uchenna Nwosu makes such a big difference. We were tearing it up. Mafe was tearing it up. Those two guys were just tearing it up with the quarterback pressures. And when Nwosu came out with that injury, Seattle looks like a completely different defense. So got to keep those guys healthy, because if we get those 1-2 punch of those guys on the outside and then Byron Murphy on the inside, oh man, eating up tight ends. Oh, those guys are going to have lanes to rush, and I'm excited about that. Darrell Taylor, frustrating at times to watch. If he's not running off the bench to get on the field when he's not supposed to be, sometimes he's a nightmare to watch try to cover the run. Okay as a pass rusher, but a liability on run defense. So don't know what to say there, but I hope he can improve his game with this Mike McDonald-led defense. And then finally, Derek Hall, hopefully coming in with his second year and just, again, try to step things up and build on things. So a bunch of other names in there at linebacker. I'm not really going to get into them. Looks like I got John Radigan there twice. More of a special teams guy. But yeah, there you go. Those are your linebackers. Let's see. Let's go to another quick comment. Juice X Monkey, have the Seahawks officially gone to the 3-4 now that Pete is gone, or will we still see some 4-3 nickels still with the personnel at defensive edge and edge rusher? I think it's still going to be primarily 3-4. They do have that kind of, like you mentioned, where they'll sometimes put more corners on the field. And so it's, I don't know, it's almost like a hybrid 3-4 / I don't know what you even call the the combination. But will it change? I don't know. I mean, they went into that last year, but now everything's kind of wiped the slate clean. But I'm assuming that I can't believe they would switch out of a 3-4 back to a 4-3 the way they built this team. So I'm guessing that they're still going to be in a 3-4. And without completely changing the setup. I personally like the 4-3 better. Maybe that's because I just grew up with it for the most part watching the Seahawks, but and I just haven't seen the Seahawks really succeed yet running the 3-4. But maybe this year it'll be different. Seagram 5, excited to see if Reed can carry momentum over from last year in the new scheme. I think he could start over Hankins, but his advantage is knowing the system, having played for Durday already. That's a good point. That is a very good point. So many different names, different schemes, offense and defensive side of the ball. Why did they restructure Michael Jackson to lower his cap, but have kept Radigan at a ridiculous tender price? Either cut him or he needs to take a minimum deal. Well, he's kind of, I don't know, he's kind of a special teams captain kind of guy. I don't know, you know, we don't really think much about special teams, but it is an important part. It's just not the names that you normally think of. So he is a big part of that special teams side of the football, and you know, you can't overlook that because, man, when it comes to the punt crew and kick coverage, these guys often can make or break in a tight game. So he does have his place. He's just not, you know, your everyday type of defender. And Hall better step it up in year 2, underperformed like Taylor has. Yeah, no kidding. I feel like that's why that whole thing, like after Mafe and Nuosu, the second level guys, man, it's like a big drop off. Special teams player for over $3 million is way too much, says Seagram. Yeah. What could you say? What did you say? I agree. I don't know why that was the contract that they reached for him, but I guess they're stuck with it for the time being. Let's move on to another crowded room that's going to be interesting to see who rises to the top. Cornerback. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Did we do... no, we did linebacker. Oh, yeah, we did linebacker. So now cornerback. Cornerback. So this is a very busy room here. But this is how I see things shaking out. So Devin Witherspoon in the nickel, you got, I think Reek Woolen needs to change his name back to Tariq Woolen and play like he did in his first year. He was a bad year last year. Kind of forgot to tackle. I don't know what happened. It was like totally different guy. But I'm hoping that maybe this year, new coach and all that, new coordinator, things will find the old Tariq from his first year. He was such a baller back then. So we see him on the right corner, and then Michael Jackson will be the left corner. And this is where, you know, there's going to be depth. There's going to be times when we get multiple cornerbacks on the field. So DJ James, Nehemiah Pritchett, you know, teammates in college. DJ James, I'm excited about that. Maybe he can actually leapfrog some of this crowded room and make a name for himself. Pritchett as well. They're kind of very similar in build, similar in stature. It'd be kind of cool to see both those guys make it to the next level and actually see some playing time. But they definitely have to compete with the likes of Trey Brown and. Really Trey Brown and then Artie Burns in there as well in the nickel spot. So these are the 6 guys I can see being the primary corners playing in rotation time. Lance Boykin had a little bit of play time. Like I said, Trey Brown, he's been here for some time. And then you got Carlton Johnson, Roe Torrance, and Andrew Whitaker. So I don't know what you guys think, but what's your guys' thoughts on corner? Do you agree or disagree with this lineup? Seagram 5 says Trey Brown going to be the starter. One of these corners might be moved to hybrid corner safety role. And we already have a hybrid corner safety. I didn't bring him up because I saved him for the next slide here. We're talking about Kobe Bryant. There's another name that we potentially could add to this very long list. Have to take advantage of the best talent and get them on the field. Juice Monkey says, will we see Kobe Bryant back in the slot nickel this year? That's a good question. I mean, he's kind of, playing that hybrid role. I do like Kobe Bryant. So I would like to see him get on the field, whether it's in that hybrid, you know, slot nickel position or as like a lurk safety. But, yeah, we'll see if Kobe Bryant can get more playing time as well. Trey Brown is physical, a good tackler. Trey Brown's just got, I really liked him a couple years ago. Last year, it felt like he was kind of off and on, not as consistent as I'd like to see him. He had, I can't remember which game it was. I remember one particular game that was not a good game. He was just off. But yeah, I remember that game when he made a hell of a tackle. This is a couple years ago, I think, or maybe 3 years ago. And we were at Pittsburgh and made what could have been the game-saving tackle, and then we ended up fumbling and losing the football. We lost the game that way. But anyway, I remember Trey Brown really standing out in that game. All right, let's go to, we're almost to the end here. Let's go to a safety spot. Not as crowded here. Pretty straightforward. Julian Love, our free safety. And Rayshawn Jenkins, who they picked up in the offseasons from the Jaguars, will be the strong safety. It's just nice to not say Jamal Adams' name anymore at strong safety. Whew, that was a rough patch right there. And there's Kobe Bryant, again, playing that hybrid safety / corner spot. Jarek Reed as well for some depth. And then you got Kevon Wallace and Ty Okeda. So, but yeah, Love and Jenkins, going to be seeing a lot of those guys. And I like Jenkins. I thought he played really well, particularly that last year with the Jaguars. So I like this combination. Love was great last year. He played amazing, especially in that Philadelphia Eagles game. Woo, get that game-sealing interception. But yeah, Love has been great. And so, you know, it's sad how I really liked Quandre Diggs for a while. I liked his energy, and it's just, I don't know, something about last year was just, defense was so bad. And I remember thinking, I hated to say it, it's like, man, Quandre Diggs is not playing well. Man, he is missing tackles. He's the last line of defense, and even he's not making tackles. It was rough to watch. Sad to see him go. Liked him as a person, but, you know, unfortunately, just too many things didn't go right last year with the defense. So changes had to be made. So I'm excited with these new faces in here to see what they can do with it. All right, let's see. Juice X Monkey. Julian Love should have a better year this year. I believe in him, and I think now that he's solidified as the starter, I think he will flourish now. Agreed. He is the man. The torch has been officially passed to him. Seagram, I think one of those safeties is going to be squeezed out, and we might only keep 4. I think, Jarek Reed, that's a tough one there, but I think Love, Jenkins, Bryant, and then Reed probably would be the 4 if they are able to keep 4, would be my thoughts on that. All right, last but not least, probably the easiest thing here, special teams. Probably one of the most underrated, definitely didn't get the kudos they deserve, but one of the best special teams in the NFL. You got Jason Myers. Missed a couple kicks, missed that one against the Rams that really hurt, but he had some really clutch game winners. Just missed that one by a foot, and that would have made the difference. He probably would have made the playoffs if he made that kick against LA. Oh well. Michael Dixon, fantastic. Can't say enough about him. Awesome to have him. And Chris Stoll, the long snapper. You know, it's funny. The long snapper, it's a position you never talk about. And man, if I was to do my whole career again, I think I would just make myself say, no one ever does as a kid, you know what I want to do? When I grow up, I want to be a long snapper. It's like nobody ever thinks about that. But it'd probably be one of the smartest positions to do because, A, you don't get hit because they can't even touch you. B, you know, job security. If you're a good long snapper, these guys can play forever. They just have one job. And they don't really get beat up. So you never get, the tread on the tire lasts a long time, and it's if you're good at it, it's good job security. So, if you youngsters out there, become a long snapper. Get yourself a nice, long-lasting job in the NFL. You don't get hurt. All right, let's see. Fat Boy 12 says Hawks offense is better than the defense. Well, for sure, the last couple of years has been definitely the case. It's kind of hard not to be when your defense has been ranked like 31 and 30 in consecutive years. Yeah, our defense has been horrible. If our defense was just average last year, we're in the playoffs and probably maybe win a game. But above average, shoot, we might actually have a chance for a late postseason run. But we were just horrible, and it cost us multiple games. And even with the bad defense, we still made the playoffs the year before. So we just need to be a little bit better, and our offense about the same, and we'll have a shot. I'd love for the defense to be better than a little bit better, though. I mean, average would be great, but I'm really hoping this team can jump from terrible to like slightly above average at least. That might be a lot to ask in a first-year turnaround, but Michael McDonald's history with different teams he's been on, every team he's joined there was a team with a defense before him and a defense after, and every time he's left the team, the defense has jumped significantly from what they were before his arrival to after. Not to put too much pressure or expectations on what I hope he's going to be able to do in 1 year, but it might take a little bit of time. But the nice thing is the offense is already pretty solid. You know, there's no rebuilding the offense. It's really just having the line protect better, block better, and scheme it up. And that part I'm excited about. Is what take a pretty good offense and make it great with Ryan Grubb as coordinator. Myers is overpaid in another contract we gave out that was more generous than we should be. You know, I like Jason Myers. Yeah, he's missed a couple of kicks here, but for the most part, he's pretty solid. You know, and as we know, if you have a kicker that's you can't rely on, it's worth your weight in gold to get one that you know is going to be dependable and score when you have to. Granted, he's not the best kicker in the league, but he's pretty damn good. I trust him for the most part, even though he has missed a couple of those occasional ones that you wish, man, make that kick and come on. But we've seen what happens when you don't have a good kicker. And when you don't, you go, man, we should have paid. We should have paid for one because they could lose the season for you. So, you know, you got to think of it that way too. Adding to that, due to dead cap hits, we are stuck with Myers. Yes, we are stuck. So we just better hope he's just money. There's nothing worse than overpaying a guy and him not delivering. So if he can be the better Myers that we've seen, I'll be okay with that. To me, it's worth it. Fat Boy agrees. C. Graham, Myers has never been top 5 kicker, but was paid as one of the top when we gave him that contract. I think it came off of the year when we extended him. I think he did have a particularly good year that year. So, yeah, I guess it is what it is, where we are stuck with some of these situations we got into. Jamal Adams contracts, I mean, you know, we've definitely made our blunders of contract deals and decisions and draft picks, but I feel pretty good about where the team went this year with the focus in off-season free agency pickups as well as the draft. There's nothing that was a head-scratcher in terms of what the hell are they doing. I felt like every move made a lot of sense and they were addressing the clear weaknesses that the Seahawks have had the last couple of years. So I'm excited about this. I'm very excited. And we'll see what the lineup looks like. I'll be looking forward to, come September, looking back at this video here and my notes and seeing how much did I get right and how much did I get wrong, particularly when it comes to cornerback and linebacker and offensive line. Those are the ones where there's a lot of moving pieces that could be, you know, who's going to be center, who's going to be guard, you know, who's going to be starting left cornerback, you know, things like that. So we'll see in, was it 3+ months? It's gonna be fun. All right, it's almost time to wrap this up. But C. Grand 5 with the one final comment. Appreciate your participating in all this today. Really excited to see Grubb, Huff, and what they can do. Yes, I cannot say enough about how exciting that is. If you didn't watch much Husky football this past year, it was very entertaining. I just remember watching so many confusing pre-snap movements of guys going all over the place. It's going to be a challenge for this offense to pick up this whole new playbook. But I think it's going to be pretty cool to watch. Maybe we'll really see what Gino is really capable of. Maybe we'll really see what Njigba and Lockett and DK, that trio. This is a great trio of receivers. And then throw Jake Bobo in the mix and the tight ends. I mean, we got so many great weapons. And our running backs. I mean, this offense should be better than what it's been. I mean, we have the tools. We've got the weapons to be a fantastic offense. And maybe Grubb can finally unlock the key to that. All right, that wraps up this show. I appreciate you guys watching. More live streams to come, but again, please follow me here on Bleacher Report if you haven't already, and would love it if you followed me here on my social media as well, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X, and on Facebook at NorbCam. That's it, wrapping up the show. Appreciate you guys joining today, and we'll talk to you all next time. Go Hawks, baby.